Ladies and gentlemen, the long awaited, highly anticipated world premiere of our guy, who's going to be your guy after you listen to this guy. We'll mention him as Jay. Jay, what's your last name?
Zaber.
There he is. Jay Zaber, ladies and gentlemen. Now, under full disclosure, this guy's authentic. And he's also, are you a physical therapist or a chiropractor? What's the...
Physical therapist by trade.
Nice. And you have a practice going on presently?
I currently work for SSM Health Physical Therapy. That is my employer.
Nice. And also, you're a man about town. Everybody and anybody wants you as their goalkeeping coach. Do you have a working relationship with Chris Kenny? If he goes, you go.
I've known CK for a long time.
Wow.
I've just finished my 20th year at Visitation, and having coached against CK for a long period of time over those years. And then when CK retired from Marquette, he took the head coaching position at Visitation. So I've been with CK at Viz for 3 years now, and also working with him at St. Louis U High for the last 4 years.
And you're a very humble man. You're the reigning state champion goalkeeping coach from SLU, St. Louis University High, who won the state championship in PKs.
Yes, it was a fantastic game. DeSmet was a great opponent. They were the best team in the area all year, and we were just fortunate enough that our boys put together their best game at the very end of the season. And our goalkeeper, since this is your show, our goalkeeper came up extremely big in the shootout portion of the game, and he was truly a difference maker that day.
Right on. And that's a very key word, Jay. A difference maker, a game changer. And do you kind of, under full disclosure, I hope you put out the secrets, is that do you kind of practice that throughout the year, that you put the boys or the girls? Because Kate Lewis is no backseater at Visitation going over to SLU.
Kate was great. I had the pleasure of working with her for 4 years, and she progressively got better as she got older. I think you could probably agree with this, is that as goalkeepers mature, I think they get better, for the mere fact that the more that you see, your decision making becomes that much better, and you have more confidence in what you're trying to do.
I'm 68. I think I could go top 90. But do you practice game situations with pressure on, hey, this is the scenario, and let's do it, boom, boom?
Well, what I try to focus on is just with the flow of play during, either a drill or a scrimmage, that you can go ahead and stop, so then that way they can kind of see where they're at and adjust positioning, be able to talk about the decision making, about whether they're coming off their line at the appropriate time. Do they come out, position wise, is their angle good? Do they come off their line to challenge for a cross? The decision making when they come off their line for a cross, are they trying to catch the ball? Are they trying to box it? Little things like that, because the position that we play is so specific to that particular play. It's that moment, because if you do the wrong thing, it usually ends up in the back of your net.
And that's why you're whale certified, Jay, because you're a state of the art, man. You know the art and science of goalkeeping, and so you go with the with the flow. You're not training ducks for doing drills. You're getting in. This is what you do. This is maybe an option, but you do anything less, it's going to be messing up.
And it's always fun because each player's different, and I always try to give them a chance to say, what did you see here? Why did you make that decision? And be able to talk through it, and then hopefully from where I'm coming from that they say, oh yeah, that might be a little bit better. Or if they tell me this is why they did it, then they can go ahead and convince me that that was the correct thing that they did. So it's nice to be able to have that rapport with the player, that they can speak freely and understand that whatever they did wasn't wrong. Because especially at practice, practice is great. I always try to tell them, make as many mistakes as you possibly can, because that's how you're going to learn. And if it goes in during practice, not a big deal. I just hope that during a game that the decision making that you do is going to be a little bit better.
Yeah, there you have it. And you are you have some pedigree as a goalkeeper. Can you tell us your type of play, where you played? Ba ba boom.
Sure. I grew up in Belleville, so I went to Belleville West. So Belleville West was not your soccer hotbed.
Oh yes, it was.
During my time on the east side, it was always Granite City and Collinsville, and they always had great teams, players that were fun to play against. Because especially now as an adult, when you run into them or you're still playing, in adult leagues and stuff like that, the guys that you played against, they're fun to talk to, and you kind of relive certain days. But the Granite City and Collinsville teams were outstanding during the 80s and early 90s. Um, then I was fortunate, and very, very fortunate, that I walked on at St. Louis University and I got a chance to play. And I had probably four of the greatest coaches that any player of my ilk could have. Joe Clark took a chance on me, saying you could walk on and we'll see what happens. His assistant, Val Palzero. And then I had two outstanding goalkeeping coaches that truly helped develop me into a player that could play. And then as I've moved on to coach, and Dr. Chuck Zaromsky and Steve Fuchs.
Under full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, the Dr. Chuck Zaromsky is the Wales certified go-to psychiatrist for for the for the owner, myself, and the all the goalkeepers, because when they talked about the mental side of the game, I said, "What? It's all part of the game. What do you mean side of it?" So when you name drop like that, those guys are, in my opinion, they taught you physical, mental, and spiritual development at the time, for the time, all the time.
100%. Those two coaches were the most influential coaches that a player could have. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Kevin, that I had both, both the mental side of it. Chuck stressed the mental side so much, and he really took time to break things down, and do that. And Steve pushed me. He pushed me to levels that I didn't think I'd be able to get to with training and everything. And that was the physical side, the demand that you have to have as a keeper, both from a fitness standpoint and then also the mental standpoint and how you read the game. And as I mentioned, they were so influential on helping me develop into a player and also as a coach.
Yeah, and I mean to tell you, when you mention it, my jaw dropped. Can you explain then and now in the future about being a walk on? just what you have to do, how you do it.
So a walk on at the time, they invite you out, you come to camp, and you kind of, I think that that was more or less kind of a tryout. And I think now it's, you get to be invited to come to those, and they're very, very far and few between, because I think as the rules continue to change over college athletics, I think you're going to see far fewer walk-ons because of the transfer portal, um, and just how they have to use their resources with that.
Yeah. And you for your adviz at St. Louis University High, do we call it SLU High, or how do you go with it?
I just say slew high.
All right, all right then. So the situation, all those all those players are, they have a very high IQ, a very GPA, ba ba boom, ba ba bang, and how does that work with the soccer? Is that, you got to make the grades to be able to get it, but can you almost like you get a full ride on your academic? uh, Let me try to play this soccer.
I think one, college coaches still look when they recruit, they're still going to look to see has who's a strong academic person, whether that be a boy or girl. Because in doing so, if they can get some sort of academic aid, scholarship wise, through that, then they're able to go ahead and utilize their athletic scholarships in a different manner, because they can still split those at the collegiate level for soccer. And then that way, if you're getting academic money or some sort of other aid, then they can use, let's say a quarter of a scholarship to be able to go ahead, and now all of a sudden you're not paying anything, or a half, things like that, to where they can try to bring more players in.
Okay, all right. Dr. Chuck, he was, taking medical classes and going to medical school, leaving SLU. And did you do the same with the art and science of physical therapy?
I did not. No, physical therapy was at the time a 4-year program. The excuse me, the program for physical therapy at St. Louis University encouraged their student athletes to take an extra year. So our junior year of the program at that time, because the program has changed since I've graduated. At the time, they encouraged us to go ahead and split our junior year in half. So instead of being in school for 4 years, I decided to go ahead and take a 5-year route, and divide my junior year in half, so I wouldn't miss as much time in the classroom. And more importantly, it was the lab work that we had to do in the afternoons at school. And then that way we could play, practice, travel. You weren't missing a whole lot. And then that way you were able to make sure you honed your skills for your post soccer life.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's got to have one, man. You got to have an escape plan, baby. And the story comes out is that here it is. What can you bring to the program? And you bringing physical therapy to the program. Are those goalkeepers, they get the benefit of your expertise?
Any of the players get my benefit of that, my expertise.
Okay, yeah, yeah. You're the whole. Oh, yeah. And I myself, not knowing nothing from nothing, but I'm thinking, to be able to have that, that is something unbelievable, to be able to take care of your body before, during, and after. Do you have like a little, 20 minutes? They say, listen to Coach Jay, listen to Coach Zaber about how to do it.
Well, no, they don't, and I
Okay.
don't do that. because well, as you know, Kevin, being at CBC, you have to have a certified athletic trainer on staff to help with practices and on game days. I've been blessed that the people that I've been able to interact with at both St. Louis U High and also Visitation are great because the players can go to them. That's their job. I can focus on the soccer side of things, and I'll always be able to give my opinion about an injury or how the rehab's going if they ask. But I don't try to cross those boundaries because that's why the school has hired them, and they are really, really good at what they do. And I just, I don't like to step on people's toes. Not that they would ever feel that way, but that's what they're there to do. And the players have to have a confidence in going to them for their advice to make sure that they keep going back if there are injuries.
And that's why you got class and style, Jay. That's the proper way to do it. I wasn't thinking. But anyway, under full disclosure, don't mention those three letters to me again, please. Yeah, I get nausea all of a sudden. So anyway, you're going there and you have a resume that when someone is getting coached under you, they're looking to have, all state, all American, all conference. They're looking, they're able to be right there. And over the years I've watched you, you have a nice way about you. Can you give us a little insight of what a freshman through senior can feel and get from you?
Well, I would say at St. Louis U High, just because it's such a big school and there are so many kids that are in the program itself, we have been blessed over the 8 years that I've been there. We have multiple kids who want to play play between the pipes at each level. And at some point in time, some of those kids have to be cut because you can only carry two or three. And you know how that goes too. If you have too many keepers on the roster, it just makes it hard to get those kids in. And yeah, you want them to have them come out and practice and have a good experience. But if they don't play, what are they doing it for? And it really makes it hard because you want kids to play, but only one kid can. You can't interchange them on the field and stuff like that. So they have to understand that. But working as a goalkeeping coach, with the time that I have to be able to get to practice, I only usually get to work with the varsity goalkeepers, and I can try to make games to sit and evaluate, if they have a freshman game beforehand or a JV game beforehand. I truly try to make those games so I can sit and see how their development is coming along, but to be able to work with those individual players during the season is very, very difficult. Now, on the flip side, Visitation, being a small school, we're hoping that we have at least one, if not two, keepers in the entire program. So that makes it a little bit different because then we're working with the young ladies from their freshman year to their senior year. So you really get to see the development of those players. And disclosure on this too. So I think the last 3.5 years, my oldest daughter, who I was very fortunate to coach at Visitation, she also helped at Visitation as well with the goalkeepers.
Beautiful, man.
And she was very influential on helping Kate Lewis develop as well too. But there was another young lady, Charlotte Polnow, who was as raw can be. And she said, I played. She didn't play at a very high level, but she got better. And by her senior year, she was significantly improved in all aspects of the game. And that's the type of thing, even though she didn't get to play because Kate Lewis is so good, it's fun to watch kids like that develop and have a great experience because those types of things go on into college and they'll go on past that when they get a job. It's about that hard work that they put in. It was a commitment, and you can always try to coach and teach off of stuff that's going to go well beyond the playing field and what's going to happen in the boardroom.
Well said, man. Well said. Gosh, you gave me goosebumps with the your daughter being involved in the between the pipes. You,
Yes,
you
she was a little undersized, but she was athletic enough that she could get some things done. I always joke with her, and I have two daughters, and neither one of them got any of my height. They're both my wife's size. So if she maybe would have had an inch or two more, she would have been a little bit better to get some of the high stuff and whatnot. But she worked hard. She walked on at St. Louis University with Katie. She didn't play a whole lot, but she had a good time. Got to practice and hone her skills. So I was, as any parent would be, and as a coach, I was very, very proud of what
yeah.
she was able to do and how she developed as well too.
Right. Same. I mean, same here. You got the All American, but when you get down to that level, that shovel level, man, that's deep. Hey,
Yes.
in the Zaber family, when somebody says pass the rose, do they give you a high 90 to go and?
No, no, they know that their old man can't get up to that high 90 anymore. So the reactionary skills there, but I just can't leave my
All
feet
right.
like I used
All
to.
right. Well, how about the evolution of goalkeeping coach in general? That you've were the, you benefited from it, uh, and can you see that schools somehow to get a goalkeeping coach, or is it just how the head coach thinks about it?
I think it's how the head coach thinks about it. I think if the coach is truly trying to set up a staff that's going to go ahead and have the entire team covered with regards to who's a good attacking coach, who's a good defending coach, and then you have to have somebody who can understand the position of a goalkeeper, because that in alone, it's so specialized with, should he come off his line, or he or she, should they come off
Yeah.
their line, should they stay on their line, what their angle look like, should they have caught the ball, would they have parried it, would they parried it wide, or they would have just touched it over the top of the bar, little things like that. Those are some things that head coaches, because most head coaches are all field players for the most part. I mean, I think some of the better coaches are goalkeepers, and it's fun to watch those guys coach because they become more attacking coaches in terms of what they want done, as opposed to playing defensively.
Well, there you go. Now, uh, the benefit of where you're at all the time, are you, and being a father, do you see that there's a certain way that how you uh, coach goalkeeping girls, goalkeeping boys?
I don't know, because
Good.
I mean, and even from a standpoint, if you're talking field players, the game's the same. The game doesn't change because they're females. The game doesn't change because they're girls or boys. Excuse me. That it doesn't change. You have to defend. You have to connect your passes. You have to have good touch. All that stuff. It translates from either game. Now, is the game a little bit different? Yes, because boys are stronger than girls. That's inherent. That you can see that. But the game is played the same. It depends on what the coach wants to do. If you have the players that can do it, it doesn't matter if they're boys or girls.
Nice. And far as any goalkeeping gear, uh, any of the compression stuff, any of the wear, could you enlighten us? Should we think about that type of stuff, or it's your preference only?
I think it's preference only. Equipment to, I would always wear, some sort of compression short to make sure that cut down on turf burns, anything where you're playing on the grass and stuff like that. Um, it's, when I was coming through, it was always long sleeve shirts, but now, heck, it's great that they've gone to short sleeve shirts. And the turf has changed too, because when I was at St. Louis U, we had the old thin Bush Stadium turf that was hard to play on.
Wow.
So talking about various equipment they had to use there, that was different that way too. But the new, the field turf. Um, it's too bad that we live in an area where to try to have grass because of either the heat
Yeah.
like it is now
Yeah.
or the rain that we get whenever the
Yeah.
rain comes. Fields are just unplayable, and you can't miss out on that because when you do, it's hard to schedule, and that's a question and a conversation into itself.
Yeah.
But but yeah, the equipment, that's going to be something that's preference wise, and on a summer day like today or we've had over the last week, wearing a long sleeve shirt and long pants to be a goalkeeper ain't working anymore. So you
Yeah.
have to be comfortable.
Yeah. I looked at the junior bills and the goalkeepers. They always fashion the those slim, tight compression pants underneath their shorts and put their socks over. And you said, the guy's got long johns on, and then I realized what they were. Yeah, so they led the way in the bi-state area. So you got 10 more minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay, so here it goes. When you have the, they say you're the king for the day, Jay, and anywhere you want to go, would you have a little goalkeeping pit area out by your practice fields or anything? Would you do anything special if you were the king for the day and your wishes would be fulfilled?
Boy, let me see if I'm getting this question
All
right.
right.
So if I had one wish from a goalkeeping standpoint on a
No,
practice with
no,
stuff,
you get
if
all wishes you want. Anything you
oh
want to have the perfect J Zaber goalkeeping area or something pit.
Well, it would be nice to have some, kind of like a high jump pit where you could teach kids,
Yeah.
if they're learning to be able to dive
Now you're
into
getting
stuff
it,
like that.
baby. Now you're getting it. Yeah.
Not as big as that, but something that would go ahead and cushion it. Not necessarily sand, because sand can still get hard, but something that would be foamy to where it would go ahead and cushion the fall.
Yeah, man.
That would probably be one of the bigger things that when you're trying to teach young people how to leave their feet and land correctly, that
Yeah.
it's not going to hurt. That would probably be the one thing that I'd probably wish for.
Nice. Nice. Absolutely. And so you know that I know that you know you're the world premiere question on that is
Oh,
that I'm going to ask all goalkeeping coaches that question. So you're the first one so far.
awesome!
Yeah,
That's
baby.
that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can't give it an award yet. So, but it would be the J Saber Award.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm flattered.
All right then. And far as you know, I mean, why we're there is that if you could, how would your goalkeeping education be from a seventh, eighth grade? The elementary to get to high school and beyond about the position.
About the position, I have always told when parents ask me about son or daughter, when should they start to play? I think the first thing is, do your children or child, are they expressing interest in playing? Great. If they do, all right, go ahead and do it that way. I always tell them, don't let your children become pigeonholed as just being exclusive goalkeepers, because if you stick them there, they're going to go ahead and lose out on trying to gain that technical ability with their feet. Because, and again, Kevin, you understand this, as the position has changed, goalkeepers have to be adept at using their feet, almost like an extra defender when the ball comes back, because you
Absolutely.
can't you can't handle the ball, so you have to be able to take a good touch. Just like, when we work with the field players, your first touch can't be heavy. Where are you taking it away from the defender? Are you setting yourself up to be able to make a pass quickly and precisely? And I think when you start to go ahead and tell kids, hey, you're only going to be our goalkeeper at a really young age, that shuts down the ability to teach and, learn other things within the game. And also, I always found it helpful because I played out in the field until I was probably in junior high, and which would have been seventh, eighth grade. And then after that, then that's when I stayed in goal. But you get a different perspective when you're in the field. What would you be doing if you were there? What would you be doing there? And I think that served me well moving forward. But again, you really don't understand stuff until you get to be older. It's it's the top-notch goalkeepers that get it, right at the beginning. It took me a while to go ahead and truly understand positioning, how teams, players moved and stuff like that. It just takes a lot of, learning and watching the game, listening to coaches who know way more than what I did, and really be able to learn tactic stuff. But going back to the question, you know, the youth stay and play out in the field. Because youth games, yes, everybody wants to win, but you can't get past the fact that when they're playing, it's for the education. You're trying to teach them things. So, as important it is to win, there's more importance to the development of the player from so many different angles. So as you move through, once you get into junior high, you're going to start to see kids change, develop with regards to size. Unfortunately, goalkeeping is probably the true one position where you need to have certain measurables with regards to, you have to be tall. I mean, unless you're just crazy athletic that you can get to those corners and do things that bigger goalkeepers can do, you're not going to find goalkeepers that are, at least on the boys' side, they're going to be 5'8", 5'9". You're going to see kids that are at least, 6 foot tall, if not bigger. And then on the girls' side, you're hoping that they're going to be 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", with that, because they're just going to be able to cover more ground. And going back to a previous question, I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place here, Kevin, so I apologize.
Beautiful.
But you had asked about the differences in terms of how would you coach girls and boys for the goalkeeping stuff. The girls, you have to be a little bit more conservative with regards to how far they come off their line to challenge shots, because they're not going to be as tall as the boys. So you want to make sure that nothing gets over their head. That's the one thing that I do change with my girl goalkeepers. Right. To make sure that from an angle standpoint, they have a better chance of getting those high balls. So you keep them a little bit closer to their line as opposed to the boys, where they can come out and attack it a little bit more. But then back to the other question that you had asked about the development. Then when you get into junior high and high school, that's where you have your definitive goalkeepers, because you can't keep going back and forth between playing the field and in goal. A lot of times, all these clubs now have specific goalkeeper trainings and stuff like that. And I think you're seeing that, there are so many really good goalkeepers in the area. And it makes the games more fun.
Well, there you go. I mean, you're multicast to be able to go back and forth. You must be a hell of a chess player. All right. But that brings me to the question of multi-sport. Would you recommend it, or do you kind of say at SLU or at Viz, do you say, hey man, you should try, or do you encourage playing basketball, tennis, this, that?
That's a tough question. If you're asking me as a physical therapist, I say yes. And the reason being is allowing children to cross train. It helps prevent repetitive injuries.
Wow.
It allows the muscles to work differently across different sports. There's going to be a lot in common, but soccer's different than tennis. Soccer's different than basketball. It's start stop, but it's just all the sports are different. So I would, from a physical therapist standpoint, always encourage two sports. I think the three sport athlete that you used to see in high school, I think that's not going to occur, but very rarely. And the specification across multiple sports, and soccer's not the only one where it's becoming sport specific. So I don't want soccer to get singled out,
Yeah.
but I think it's really hard for kids to make a decision at 14 that what's the one sport you're going to play. They may not, they love the sport, but I think it's hard for kids to say, hey, I'm just going to give that up because I'm really, really good at this sport, but I enjoy playing the other sport. I think that's unfair. I think it's unfair.
Yeah. Well, very, very diplomatic. Well said. Okay. What happens here, Jay, is like everybody else. So you know that I know that you know. We got the Jay Zaber, for a lack of vocabulary, award. You, you're the first, and you're well certified. I want you to know, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully the next time I see you, I'll give you a little bracelet. You
I wouldn't. Fantastic. Fantastic.
But everyone comes through is to be able to end it saying, "Hey Jay, whatever you want to say to who you ever want to say it to, for as long as you want to say it for, this is your opportunity."
Wow. There are so many people who have been influential in helping me become both the soccer player that I was able to develop into and the coach that I've been able to develop into. I mean, the list would be so long, Wales. We'd probably have to go an extra hour with all that stuff. And just to mention, I mentioned Chuck and Steve earlier in the podcast. I mean, I have to give shout out to those two, Joe Clark and Val Pellizzero, Tim Champion. Those were my coaches at St. Louis U during college. Tim gave me my first chance to coach, and I learned so much from Tim Champion
Wow.
from coaching. So, I mean, that was the staff at St. Louis U. So, but then all the players that I've had a chance to play with, the players I got to play against who have now become friends of mine. Again, there are so many different people that I could go ahead and name. It would be a disservice to go ahead and just single
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
one or two when there are multiple players who help me, because as a goalkeeper, you're only going to be as good as the players that are in front of you. You can go ahead and stand on your head from time to time, but you have to be very, very humble in this position, because if you don't keep your players in front of you happy and encourage in them to do well, they're going to say, you know what? I don't want to play for this guy. This guy is a complete jerk. The way that he's, the way he's talking to me and stuff like that. And that's something else I always try to, get my players to do. The guys who are making millions of dollars can go ahead and bark at their players and yell and stuff like that. You ain't at that level yet. So you better go ahead and understand that you need to be able to talk to these people that you're playing for, and make sure that you keep them on your side, because it's a team sport. No matter how you look at it, everybody has their job to do, and you have your job to do, but the team in front of you helps you look really, really good, because they'll pick you up and you'll pick them up. It's vice versa.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, there you have it, Jay. You're in the can, so to speak, and so I'll download it, upload it to this number, and
Okay.
and you can have before dinner you can have the podcast playing or something, and it'll be such. So if you receive calls and everything, and it would be it was one of the best episodes ever.
Oh wow, thanks, Kevin. I'm flattered. You made it easy, and it was fun to talk and all that stuff. Are you done recording?
you got you giving me some goalkeeping humor? Yeah, absolutely. There was no audition. This is
No, 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 no. Are you done recording now? I'm going
yeah,
to ask you a question.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
are you not at CBC anymore?
No, 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 no. And like I said, those three letters in that particular way, I get nauseous. So no,
Yeah.
you'll see me around, but not
Okay.
yeah, but
Not
not
on the bench anymore. Okay.
no, 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 not yeah, and and so that St. Louis High School Champions League is a big thing that I see some interest in that I want to do about.
Oh, good. Because yeah, I hope that continues to take off. I think that was from what talking to Mr. Keller. It sounded like on the boys' side and even on the girls' side, it was really quite successful in the first year.
Absolutely, it was thrilling, man. I can't wait. Can't wait for it to happen again. And we'll see. The inaugural seasons have passed. We'll see how the next one is.
Yeah, we've got an interesting draw this year. We've got Clayton, Webster, and Chaminade are in our pool.
That's right, baby. And
Yeah.
when they say get out of the pool, you say no, I'm not. I'm staying in this pool, and going to the next level. Nice, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So personally, I wish you the best, Jay.
Thanks,
You're
Kevin.
you're one of the jewels of the whole experience. And if anybody wants a journey to extraordinary, you CK and Bob O'Connor, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, they are some real cool cat daddy-os. I mean, you do it right, I feel.
Well, I appreciate that. We try to, and it's about the kids. And
Yeah,
if you don't respect the kids that work their tails off, and you got to show them some love too. And we try to really emphasize that we're trying to make them a better player, and it can sometimes get muddled because of we drive, and as any coach, you have to go ahead and push, 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 but at the same time you got to show them a little compassion. And we've been fortunate that kids buy into what we're asking them to do. And and I'm sure you saw that too in your coaching days, that kids want to win, and kids want to get better.
yeah, man. And so there you go, baby. Uh, I wish you the best in the season. Give my regards to everyone. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Jay Server has been whale certified, and you too can be whale certified if you try. All right, Jay. Bye bye.
I think.